Okay, everybody, welcome back to the latest edition of the Wilton Report, Princeton's only dedicated podcast, and I guess videocast, as we do broadcast over Spotify and Apple blogs, etc., and obviously on YouTube. I would say probably for the sake of really getting the most out of today's episode, you're going to want to probably check it out on YouTube because I actually have photos of houses we're going to be talking about. So my name is Josh Wilton. I'm a co-owner and I'm the broker of Queenston Realty here in Princeton, New Jersey. We are a boutique real estate company that specializes in real estate, obviously in Princeton and central New Jersey. We also do a lot of public-facing events. Our next public-facing event is our first-time homebuyer seminar. So who is this geared for? First-time homebuyers. Why? Because it's not easy to buy a house. And I do find that more people spend more time planning their vacation than they do buying their first home. There is no cost to this. It is strictly process-driven. We will cover some market information, but this is really geared towards people looking to understand the process of buying their first home. December the 14th, 10:15 a.m. So that's coming up. I did want to let you know that our property management company, our sister company, Princeton Property Management Services, is now managing Airbnbs here in town. We have a whole platform where we can do an analysis to see if your rental might be better as a long-term rental or an Airbnb rental. So if you're a landlord and you do watch the Wilton Report and you want us to do analysis of your current rents as a long-term rental or your rents as an Airbnb, we can definitely do that for you now. So we do have a couple clients who have converted, actually new clients who had never actually been a landlord long-term. They're just doing it as an Airbnb product. So we do have the capability. It's pretty cool. I have to admit, it's an exciting segment of the business. So been a minute since we broadcast. I have not spoken to you since September. Obviously, we had an election. And again, you can base things based on just yard sign count. Probably people in Princeton are not the happiest people in the world. That being said, the election is over. Now what? At least in relationship to real estate, I'll let the pundits figure out all the rest of it. So, one of the things I think hopefully that will happen, at least nationally, is that we will see more volume. Hard to think we would see less volume in home sales than we've been seeing, especially the last 6 to 8 months. So generally speaking, 9 after the last 11 elections, home sales volume went up, and that is a national number. There is a forecast coming out. Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, all the pundits are saying we will go from 4.6 million homes sold on pace in 2024 to 5.2 million in 2025. So it's a pretty big pick. It's not a massive pick, but it's a definite step in the right direction. Hopefully, make it a little bit easier on people to buy a home because it's not easy right now at all. Home prices went up 7 after the last 8 presidential elections. By the way, this is not my data. This is from a gentleman by the name of Tom Ferry. He's more of a real estate speaker / coach than analyst, but it was easy to look at the data so you can sort of chew that over. Not really the intent of the slide. By the way, nothing I presented from a data perspective I disagree with. I do think we'll have more inventory. I do think we'll have more sales volume. Again, can't get much lower. If it does, I'll just take a few months off. And I do think home prices will continue to trend up, at least in certain segments of the market. We'll go into that. So this is a national home price forecast. The average of all these people, so you go from Goldman Sachs to Moody's Analytics, the Mortgage Bankers Association, Morgan Stanley, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, et cetera, et cetera. Goldman's the most aggressive at 4.4, Wells Fargo 4.3, Moody's is 0.3, which is interesting. The National Association of Realtors is forecasting 1.8. I would probably predict somewhere in the 3s nationally. The average is 2.5. We'll get into what's going to happen locally over today and the next few months. And mortgage rates decreased leading up to 8 of the last 11 presidential elections. Not getting into why mortgage rates were high or low. It's not important. I do think rates will trend down. This is the forecast for the 2025 mortgage market. They are forecasted to come down gradually. You are not going to see unless we have like another insane event like COVID, you are not going to see 2 and 3, 4% interest rates. You will just not see it. So they will come in, I think, into the mid to low sixes. By the end of the second, maybe third quarter, you'll see low sixes, maybe break into the high fives. End of third quarter next year, maybe fourth quarter, but to be seen. A lot of unknowns right now. So let's look at inventory nationally. We are trending in the right direction nationally. So 2024, only 2019, 2017, 2018 were better years than 2024. Obviously, we've been in the COVID years, as they're called, from an inventory perspective, right? So this, again, is from a gentleman by the name of Lance Lambert. He runs a basic straight-up real estate research called 𝐂𝐍𝐍𝐄𝐓, which I subscribe to. This is his data. So 1-year change in active inventory for sale shifted between October 2023 and October 2024. So Florida is up 45%. Texas is up 26%. California, 35%. Washington State, 43%. Maine, 36%. New Jersey, 19%. New York, 4%. So our market is the lowest nationally in terms of home inventory adjustment. So year over year, yes, it's a lot better. Florida's up 45%, Texas 26%, New Jersey's only up 19%. However, since 2019, New Jersey is still down 61% compared to October 19, 2019 to October 2024. New Jersey's down 61%. Florida is up 10%. Texas is up 13%. Why is that in Florida? Insurance, it's, there's some political aspects of it, but a lot of it is to do with homeowners insurance. Texas is because they actually have land. So New Jersey is still down 61% compared to 2019 in terms of standing inventory. What does that mean? It means there's not a lot of houses for sale in New Jersey. It is what it is. New York, 43% down, Pennsylvania, 41%. So our market, low. The only states that are above where they were going into COVID, Idaho, Utah, Texas, Oklahoma, Colorado, Florida, Arizona, Tennessee. So if you look at this and if you're on YouTube and you're looking at this, Connecticut's all the way at the bottom. New Jersey is sort of tied for the bottom with Illinois. We're down 60%. Connecticut's down 70% standing inventory. Pretty crazy. It is what it is. That's just the math. So locally, let's just kind of jump locally. So we're going to kind of talk a couple different things today locally. So hopefully that gives you an idea of what we forecast. It will be a little better. It will not be great in terms of supply. Home prices are still heading up. Rates will modulate. But again, just remember, Princeton's a big cash town. So I don't expect like this wave of inventory hitting Princeton. Now, when I broadcast in June, on the 20th, 57 homes were for sale in Princeton. 47% of them were above $2 million. We dropped down to 47 homes in July. Pretty natural after the 4th, not a lot happens. 59% of the market above $2 million. We jumped up to a high of 57 homes, which really isn't that high, in September when I last broadcast. September 28th, we were at 58 homes. We are down to 52 homes in November. Pretty natural to be declining towards the end of the year. The issue in Princeton is that 50% of the entire market is above $2 million. And that's really what I want to talk about today. I had the privilege of being a guest on a podcast called Who Killed the Starter Home. It'll be pretty interesting. I will, as soon as I get the details on it, I'll post it on social media. But we obviously have a starter home problem in Princeton. I've posted on this. The number of units that have sold below $1 million and $2 million have gone down by 50% because prices have gone up so much, right? So single family homes that used to cost $850 now cost $1.3. Things that used to cost $1.6 are now $2.1. It just is what it is. And that's great for the homeowners. It's just bad for the buyers. So what to do about it, right? I would say this: we have to build more housing. Now, that will invite an argument from people who are saying, but what about what's going on at the shopping center? They're building apartments. And what's going on at the Institute? They're building apartments. The key word is apartments, People can't buy into apartments. They can't build equity in apartments. So my argument would be, let's talk about Princeton, right? And where are there opportunities to build more housing that people can buy? I spoke a couple Saturdays ago at Princeton Future, and it's a lady. She said, "Look, I'm a lawyer. I was raised here. I want to come back here. I can't afford it." She's like, "I make good money. What do I do?" And I said, "You have to build more housing." So let's look at it. And I'm going to talk about this a little bit every other week or so that I broadcast. So I'm going to give you a case study today. I want you to look it up. If you're driving, you can tell Siri to save it in your notes. You can go to YouTube later and check this out, whatever. Look up 114, 118 Birch in Princeton. It's a single family home. Basically, on a condition level, if 10 is perfect, 1 is like the roof may fall down on you, or maybe you get mold inhalants or something like that. This is probably a 2.5. You can see from the condition, it's peeling off, like it's not real brick. It's like a laminate brick. It's, the steps are busted, et cetera, et cetera. It was a single family. I think it was being used as a 3-family. I cannot comment if it was a legal 3-family or not. But what's interesting is if you look to the left, that parcel is part of this house. So this house was listed at $895,000. Single family house in Princeton, walk to town, checks all the boxes, big lot, right? It's in the John Witherspoon neighborhood. They had to reduce it to $795,000, and it sat on the market for 159 days. In this market, how is that possible? Well, the town, in their wisdom, allowed people to pass what they call historic preservation on this entire neighborhood. So if you're in favor of it, great. If you're against it, great. All I'm saying is nobody wanted to touch a house that had 2 lots. So please take a look at the tax map, right? 114, 118. This is the house. This is the second lot. There's nothing historic about this house, by the way. Please tell me who famous lived there. George Washington didn't sleep there. Paul Robeson didn't sleep there. It's just an old house in a neighborhood full of old houses. That's it. That's Princeton. It's old housing stock because that's when things were built. So it was sold on the market for 159 days in the single greatest real estate market in the history of real estate markets. And it's a double lot. So let's talk about what would happen in any other neighborhood in Princeton. You could probably knock this house down and build 2 houses and 2 ADUs on this parcel. It's already high density, right? There's a house right up here, right? That's a double lot, had a single family and a studio that just sold. Had been sitting on the market for a little while, had to reduce their price. Any other neighborhood in Princeton, a double lot sells probably for $1.6 million. And the buyer can knock the house down and build what they want. So in this neighborhood, because of the overlay, instead of getting 4 housing units, it sat and languished for 159 days. I mean, think about what's happening here. So it's already dense. You can build in the neighborhood. It's a great neighborhood. It's what everybody wants. It's walk down. It's all of those things. However, right, historic overlay on it. Nobody wants to touch it because it costs more money. So I did a search in the MLS and I said, okay, let's look at houses that have sold in the last 500 days that were built 2020 or after. Okay, so anything built in 2020 or after. This is the address of the house. So Elm Road, Ewing Street, middle of town, Prospect, which is Riverside, Dempsey, middle of town, Morgan, not quite middle of town, but close, Harris, middle of town, Riverside, Cherry Hill Road, right? Ewing, middle of town, Mount Lucas, middle of town, Wilson Road, western section, Levitt Lane, middle of town, Morgan, again, not quite middle of town, but close. Bouvant, it's up Cherry Hill Road, big lots. Morgan, same thing. These are active now. Gulick, Garrett, Wilson, Elm, Lambert, Province Line, etc. Not a single new construction was sold in the John Witherspoon neighborhood in the last 5 years in Princeton. Period. Now, you can look at these prices, by the way. The cheapest one is about $1.9 million. An ADU on the market in that neighborhood would cost $800 to $950. So it begs the question, what are we doing as a town? What are we doing? So, this house, I want everybody to drive by it. I want everybody to look at what's being built. I will put a photograph on the next Wilton report. I was thinking about it this afternoon. It sort of hit me late. This is 124 Spruce Street. This is a Cape Cod, 2-bedroom, 1-bath house, functionally obsolete, built next to a 4 or 5-plex, which somebody could have bought for $1 million. We should have all bought that. I had it on the market. Nobody wanted to pay the price, $1.3 million, whatever. 1,333 square feet. It's functionally obsolete. The basement everything was a wreck about this house, yet it's sold for $720,000 on 8/4/23. Please drive by 124 Spruce Street and see what it looks like today. See what they're building today. The reason they're building it is because there's no historic overlay. So my argument isn't to build just big houses. My argument is to build density where you can build density. So we just have to look at the rules in Princeton and go, is this right to have a single family house that is not historic by any standard? It's falling apart, right? It's got everything wrong with it from an infrastructure perspective, yet it sits on 2 development lots that if it were in any other part of town would have sold for $1.6 million because the developer could have very easily split it, build 2 houses, very easily. Yet in this neighborhood, they do not let you do that. So 2 families, maybe 4, are out of housing because of the historic overlay. So the old days, we would call that redlining, right? Redlining is what's done to keep people out of neighborhoods. Princeton, in its wisdom, has done that in Princeton through this historic overlay. So, it's just something I wanted to talk about. It's been on my mind. I have promised people I've talked about it. People said, when are you going to talk about the redlining? And this is the beginning of it. I will probably lose customers for this. I will probably get hate texts for this broadcast because people do watch it. But it is what it is. We do have to build more housing that people can buy and build equity in, and we have to be smart about where we do it and why we do it. So when you get a chance, drive 124 Spruce, drive by it. I will post a photo on social. If you want to follow me on social, Josh Wilton 71 on Instagram. And as always, if you have topics you want to see me talk about, 609-773-8054. That is it for this episode of the Wilton Report. Talked a little bit of redlining. We talked about historic preservation. And I'm probably going to get some hate thrown at me, some shade, but that's okay. It's a topic that has to be broached in Princeton on behalf of not only, by the way, people looking to move into Princeton, the people that are selling out of that neighborhood who've been in the neighborhood for generations and it's just their time to leave. They're not getting the same equity return as people in other neighbors in Princeton because of the restrictive building covenants in there. So it is what it is, something to talk about. Any questions, always 773-8054. And that's it. Thank you, everybody. And I'll see you on the next episode of the Wilton Report.